Insomniac Spider-Man is one of my favourite video game characters of all time, so today I'm making a tier list ranking video. Basically ranking other video game characters based on their chances of beating Insomniac Peter Parker. I got the idea from Base Talks, but he seems to do movie and TV show characters, so I figured I'd do gaming characters to mix it up. We're going to be ranking these characters based on my own knowledge of them, but we're not going to be going too serious into the power scaling. It's more so going to be for fun and games. So try not to take the rankings too seriously. No chance. These are characters who wouldn't have a hope in hell of even landing a hit on Peter, let alone putting him down. Gets a few hits in but loses. These are characters who could land a few hits on Spider-Man but would ultimately go down after a while. It's a good fight but loses. These are characters who would give Peter a competitive battle but he would still win. They stalemate or might win. These are characters who pose a danger to Spider-Man and can definitely kill him under the right circumstances, but I see him winning more times than not. And the top tier is pretty self-explanatory. These are for characters who would beat Spider-Man with ease or would have no chance of losing to him. Let's begin. Abby from The Last of Us. Abby is very strong for a human as she was able to destroy The Last of Us verse with her bare hands, but at the same time she is just a human being. She can deal with humans as well as infected in the apocalypse, but she's not going to do anything to Spider-Man, who can take down trained humans with ease. And all she's armed with are regular firearms, which Peter has no issues dealing with. The Survivors. The Survivors in Left 4 Dead 2 have really good teamwork, there's 4 of them, and they have superhuman durability as they can survive hits from tanks who are capable of destroying walls. However, they're only armed with standard issue weaponry, and as a result, Peter's gonna dance around them and take them down quicker than he did Fisk's men. Maybe if you gave them the power of Gmod or something, they'd be able to land a few hits and deal some damage, but other than that, they're getting fodderized. With the power of Gmod, I think they'd get a few hits in, but they would ultimately lose. The Space Marine. Space Marines are what you would get if you combined Captain America and the Doomslayer within the Warhammer universe. They are trained to the point of mental and physical perfection, and they are one-man armies as they can solo whole hordes of Tyranids as well as Chaos Marines. Peter would be able to keep up with the Space Marines and none of their guns would be able to hit him. However, I see the Chainsword being able to do massive damage to Spider-Man, kinda like how Kingpin did with the Katana before the events of the game. So I think it would be a good fight, but the Space Marine would eventually lose. Kratos. A lot of people think that Kratos is way stronger than Spider-Man, and to those people I have to say, yeah, you're right. I mean, the guy routinely kills gods, that's kind of his whole thing. And from there, he's way older and more experienced, he's fought a lot more battles than Peter, and he beat Heimdall, a guy who has better senses than Spider-Man. Yeah, it's pretty much a no-brainer. Nathan Drake. Nathan is basically a younger Indiana Jones with the superpower of luck, as he's able to survive many situations that a normal human would die to. However, his luck can run out, and once that happens, he's basically a very athletic human being who's good at looking for treasure. Even if he was to get lucky and land a punch on Peter, it would do no damage and he would promptly be turned into blood on the pavement. Geralt of Rivia. Geralt is a witcher, and as a result he has superhuman biology. In addition to increased senses, he's very skilled with weapon mastery, and he has limited magic. Whilst he should be able to keep up with Spider-Man since they can both dodge lightning, in terms of strength he's way out of his league. And Peter has beaten Taskmaster, which is basically the Insomniac version of a witcher. Geralt's potions as well as his magic could give him an edge, especially with prep time, but without those things, well, he's not living very long. The Xenomorph. The perfect life form is ruthlessly efficient at killing normal human beings, but how would it fare against a Spider-Man? The alien is immune to most man-made weaponry and it can survive explosions, but I think physically Peter should outclass it by a comfortable margin. However, the Xenomorph is no joke as its acid could melt straight through Peter's webbing, and the tail could be a counter to the spider arms. The biggest issue for the Xenomorph here is the spider sense, as it will counter its usual tactics of stealth and force it to confront Peter, which isn't going to go well for the alien. Peter would have to be careful of the acid, but other than that, I think he's got this in the bag. Krill. Looks can be very deceiving, because the protagonist of this SpongeBob Souls-like game is very powerful. He was able to defeat a godlike entity and eventually gain control over the ocean itself. And given how poorly Peter performed against Sandman, I think it's pretty obvious that going against a Krill that can control the ocean, Peter is pretty screwed. He'd probably drown before he could even reach Krill. Crash Bandicoot. Crash might be dumb as a pile of bricks, but he's incredibly strong, as he can take down characters that are amped by masks that are capable of causing natural disasters. And usually he's guided by his own mask that also protects him, that being Aku Aku. Crash should be strong enough to kill Spider-Man, and he's also quick enough to keep up with him, but with how agile and intelligent Peter is, coupled that with the webs as well as the spider sense, I think Peter has enough advantages to stay ahead in the fight. Crash could definitely win here, but I see Peter holding his own. Connor. An android from the Detroit Become Human universe, Connor is physically way out of his depth going against someone like Spider-Man, but he is ruthlessly intelligent. He's described as a perfect being with infinite intelligence, being able to map out scenarios and predict events happening before they do. However, due to his physical limitations and lack of any notable weaponry, the only thing he's going to be predicting here is how long it takes for him to get killed. Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm only including this to see if my community has a sense of humor or not. Spider-Man would one-shot Sonic the Hedgehog and the Chaos Emeralds wouldn't save him. Moving on. Optimus Prime. The Transformers canon is kind of all over the place. Some sources say that the War for Cybertron games are canon to the Prime's TV show, and other sources imply that the game's continuity is its own thing. Sticking with the games though, Optimus's weapons can carve through Decepticons like a hot knife through butter, and he also has the Matrix of Leadership, which is pretty insane. He's also way more intelligent than Peter, and he should be able to physically overwhelm him. This one's more of a question mark, as we just don't really know how powerful this version of Optimus is, but with the Matrix of Leadership, I think he should be able to beat Spider-Man. Raiden, or Raiden. The cyborg ninja from Metal Gear is incredibly powerful and should easily be able to keep up with Spider-Man. As impressive as his cybernetics are, the real ace in the hole is his high-frequency blade, which can cut through almost anything. Characters like Senator Armstrong were capable of resisting the blade, but he was literally made of nanomachines, and Peter isn't. So yeah, the blade should be able to cut him up like a sausage. That being said, Peter can survive hits from Sandman and Venom, so I don't think Raiden's gonna do very much if he gets disarmed of that blade. As long as he plays his cards right, Raiden could definitely decapitate Spider-Man. The Super Monkey. Basically the Superman of the Bloons Tower Defense games, Spider-Man should hope that there is another god in the sky to protect him from this one. The Super Monkey can fly at extreme speeds, fire plasma from his eyes that can vaporize anything, he could absorb Peter into himself and just steal his powers. Oh, and he can literally use black holes as attacks. Yeah, Spider-Man, you're pretty fucked. Rossetti from Animal Crossing. Peter is a really busy guy, and as a result, he would probably forget to save his game from time to time, and if that's the case, then Rossetti would probably get him in an endless stun lock. He could maybe evict Peter from his apartment, which is a pretty effective strategy at dealing with most Spider-Men, and he's also capable of breaking the fourth wall. The sheer amount of emotional damage that Mr. Rossetti would inflict on Peter Parker is undeniable, and he has to be given the victory here. But that's my tier list. What do you guys think? Feel free to subscribe to the channel and let me know what you think down in the description. I thank you all for watching, and as always, I will see you all in the next one.